Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this time blocking guide, you're going to learn 7 actionable tips to apply to your time blocking and your planner. So make sure you check out those timestamps below along with some other helpful videos to finally make time blocking an ingrained productivity habit. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. The very first tip is going to set us up for the most important tip, which is tip number 2. But the first thing you need to do when it comes to time blocking is actually make sure that when you go to your calendar, whether you're using iCalendar, Google Calendar, you're writing things down, you put all of the appointments and obligations you have that you don't have control over. So this is particularly important if you're currently in side hustle mode with your business and you still have a part-time or full-time job. All time blocking is taking all of those obligations and actually putting them on your calendar. And so these are obligations you've made to yourself, which we'll get to in a moment. And these are also obligations that you didn't exactly make to yourself or other people have already made for you, right? So what I recommend doing is setting stones in your calendar, right? So when you're looking at your week and your days, you want to schedule out all those things that have already been decided or have already been decided for you, right? And you'll also want to set up when you're going to wake up, go to sleep, as well as when you're actually going to work out, if that's a part of your schedule. And so when you're just getting started with time blocking, I think this is one of the most important things you can do right after this next one, tip number 2. So tip number 2 is going to be scheduling your builder time. So when it comes to time blocking, the whole point of doing all this is to make time for your most important tasks. And as a business owner, entrepreneur, or creator, your most important task is going to be some sort of building activity, whether that's creating content, whether that's reaching out to potential clients, or you're working on current client work. Whatever that is, there's something that you, as the entrepreneur, as the founder, need to do in order to push your business forward, and you need to make time for this. This needs to be priority number 1. So if you're in side hustle mode, your goal here should be to schedule 2 hours every single day where you are focused on deep, uninterrupted work. If you're full-time, then your goal would be 4 hours. And so this doesn't necessarily have to be in the morning. If you're not a morning person, that's okay. Put it in the evening. But when it comes to applying time blocking to your planner and as you figure out your schedule as an entrepreneur, you need to put your most important tasks first. And so that's why you want builder time. Because at the end of the day, we actually need to do real good, deep, creative work in order to push our businesses forward. So that's tip number 2. Now you may be wondering, okay, if I'm dedicating so much time to not talking to anyone, when do I actually get to talk to someone? Well, that's tip number 3, and that is to plan your communication times. Now there's 3 different ways you can do this. Way number 1 is you can just set specific times throughout your day where you open yourself up to the world. It's you pretty much like a window where you're checking your email, your Facebook, your Instagram, your text messages, and messages from your team and your project management app. So that's the everything method, and you can do that 3 to 4 times per day. And the length of time is just dependent upon you and your business. The second method is you can actually use different times throughout the day for different communication. So for example, what I like doing is in the morning, I will check in on Basecamp, which is our project management app, and I'm not looking at email, I'm not looking at YouTube comments, I'm not looking at my text messages, I'm not looking at anything else. I just go and look at team things. And then the next window, I'll actually start looking at YouTube comments, I'll start looking at emails, and then my final one, maybe I'm just replying to a bunch of clients, right? So this is segmenting your communication windows based upon the type of communication and the priority, because after all, it's more important that I reply to clients or team members first thing in the morning versus replying to a random YouTube comment or some random email that's come in. Those can wait till later in the day. And so the third method is, if you have a lot of clients, is to actually set up office hours. So this is something that I did when I was still a solopreneur. So I would set up a 4 to 5 hour chunk in the afternoon where I would be available for calls. And I used an app called Book Like a Boss. You can use Calendly or just do back and forth email. And so clients knew that I wasn't available in the morning because that's where my builder time was. I was busy optimizing their ads accounts, but in the afternoon, I could be available for a phone call or actually replying to emails. And you'd be surprised how appreciative clients actually are because you are clearly communicating that, hey, in the morning, I'm giving you my best hours of the day, so I will get to your questions at the end of the day. And I only had 1 or 2 clients that really had an issue with that. And so those are some strategies you can follow for your communication blocks. And of course, course, you're going to run into people and family, friends, coworkers, sometimes even bosses that get in the way of the time blocking. And that is a reality we all have to face. So when you start getting pushback sometimes, just know that you're not alone, but if you stick to it and commit to it, those in your life who actually respect you will begin to respect your time blocks as well. So tip number 4 is going to be addressing the energy problem, right? Because we're not a robot. We can't just go full speed all day. And sometimes our tasks will actually lower our energy. So as an example, when I was first getting started, when it came to sales calls, I absolutely dreaded them. Now I still get pretty nervous when I have them to this day, but my first year in business, it would just totally kill my productivity for the day because I wouldn't be able to focus because I'm so nervous about the call that's coming up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or maybe I had the call in the morning and then it went really poorly and I just keep replaying it over and over again in my head throughout the rest of the day, right? So you're going to have tasks that are really hard or nerve-wracking. And that's just part of growing a business, right? We're doing things that we're not used to. And so when you have those stressful activities, you want to make sure that you don't schedule something that's really important right after that activity, or try to do something that's really important right before it. So something that I came up with is I wound up just taking my sales calls days to Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That way I had Friday through Monday where I could be in my little cave, work on my builder time and work on all the ad accounts and everything else, and I wouldn't have that nervousness that was just butterflies coming up, right? Of thinking, oh my gosh, how's this sales call gonna go? Like, is this person gonna yell at me, or are they gonna be happy and actually wanna do business with me, right? So you're going to have those nerve-wracking types of things. And another thing you can do is just plan administrative time or give yourself downtime after those stressful events. But those events are going to be stressful. They're just part of growing a business, and you might find that they become less stressful over time, or they might become stressful for the rest of the time just because it really is nerve-wracking. But however it winds up being, you want to make sure that you are cognizant and you plan for times where you're doing a really high-stress task and you're not going to be able to perform very well the rest of the day. And speaking of the rest of the day, that comes to tip number 5. So I've actually only talked about 3 different things you should be time blocking when you're just getting started. Number 1 is all of those stones, those obligations that are already in the way. Number 2 is your maker time, 2 hours in side hustle mode, 4 hours in full-time mode, and then your communication time, which is probably another 2 to 3 hours. And the rest of your day should probably be left open. So I like using a padding and buffer technique to make sure that I can actually stay on top of my time blocks, because one of the hardest things to do with time blocking is actually estimating how long something's gonna take, right? You'd be surprised how often you say, yeah, that'll take like an hour or 2, right? And then 4 hours later, you're going, oh my gosh, how is this not done? My entire week is ruined, right? So what you want to do is have padding in your time block. So if you think something's only gonna take an hour, give yourself at least 90 minutes, if not 2 hours or more. When I first got started, I would double the amount of time. It's always better to have more time than less time at the end of the day. And then number 2, don't pack your schedule, especially when you're just getting started. We talked about the 3 things that you should time block, and then leave buffers throughout the rest of your time so that it's very easy for you to catch up on things that fell through the cracks, deal with fires as they pop up, and of course be able to commit to your time blocks. And this is really going to help you make time blocking a habit, because you're actually going to be able to stick to it, as opposed to something that sounds really good and then by the end of Monday, you know, your entire week is shot because one little thing went wrong. So tip number 6 here is to make sure you have a big picture understanding of everything that you are scheduling and time blocking. So what this means is you don't want to time block without goals. Time blocking without goals is like trying to run a marathon blindfolded, right? You're running, but you might not be running in the right direction and you're gonna trip and fall a lot. So you wanna make sure that you have clear goals so that you know that when you are working throughout your day, what you're working on is directly contributing to your goals and your vision. So if you don't have goals yet, go ahead and check out the link in the cards and the description to a full-blown video that walks you through how to actually create your business goals and then take those goals and apply them to your day-to-day schedule. But you really want to make sure that as you go into time blocking, you're not just working for the sake of working, you're working in the right direction, because it's so easy to just feel like you're making a bunch of progress when really you're just treading water, being busy, as opposed to being focused on what really matters. Now, tip number 7 is going to be a little weird, weird, so bear with me here, but this deals with switching, right? Because as great as it would be for our productivity if we were able to just time block one project for the entire day so we don't have to worry about switching and losing 20% of our processing capacity. Speaking of processing capacity, and that is using music as a trigger. So something that I've been using for years now is I will create specific playlists for specific types of tasks, aka specific types of time blocks. So the type of music I listen to when I'm supposed to be writing content and recording videos is very different than the type of the type of music I listen to when it comes to writing sales copy or working on client ad accounts, because I'm using different parts of my brain and they are different activities. And so something that you can do to help you get over that initial hump, because you know how it goes. You sit down, you've just finished something and you're supposed to start something new, and you know that once you get into it, you're gonna have plenty of energy. You're gonna be rocking and rolling, right? But that initial 5 to 10 minutes of just trying to get started, right? Trying to get that momentum going can be really rough. And so if you use playlists so that each time you're working on a specific task, you have a specific set of music or specific playlists that you listen to, it's going to be a lot easier to snap into that zone and go straight into work. And it's really, really helpful and instrumental, I guess pun intended, right? Instrumental, that was terrible. It's been really helpful. That's a better way to say it. It's been really helpful in terms of making sure that I can easily go between tasks without having that huge amount of brain drain trying to switch and get that momentum going. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. And most importantly, you are a lot more confident in getting ready to apply time blocking to your own planner and schedule. So make sure you check out the timestamps below along with some deeper dive videos that show you exactly how I apply time blocking to Google Calendar, as well as how to set your business goals. So hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive productivity videos just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.